So here we go, everybody. Welcome to another edition of the Meet the Oppo series, the show where I get the lowdown on Town's next opponent. And today I'm joined by Andy Jones, the man who covers all things Burnley for The Athletic, ahead of Town's clash with them in the FA Cup, fourth round at Portman Road. Andy, it's a pleasure, my friend, to have you on the show. How are you?
Very good, thanks. Thanks for having me on.
Nice one, my friend. And Burnley. The tie, I think Town fans probably didn't want in the fourth round draw. We haven't been in the fourth round for a very long time. There's some big ties we could have got, but we got Burnley. No offense, of course, but I'm sure that was the same thoughts on Burnley fans. But that's the first sort of question, really. You know, Andy, Burnley at top of the championship, pretty much going to be going to the Premier League. Don't want to jinx it yet, but it's looking likely. But what was the reaction, really, of the draw when it was made?
I think it was, well, the first one was then thinking about travel plans immediately of going, we've got Ipswich and then we've got Norwich back-to-back weekends away, which isn't really ideal. And Burnley have had quite a few, long away days already since coming back from the World Cup. But I think for most Burnley fans, it was a sense of an opportunity to progress, and obviously no disrespect to Ipswich at all. But, when you get a lower league club, you would back yourself to get through. And I think there's a feeling after the Bournemouth game and the victory and, the sort of celebration and what surrounded that is sort of quite a landmark victory in terms of, Burnley wanting to be in the Premier League and the Premier League side. I think there's that feeling of wanting to continue that momentum and any chance to continue that, which, I mean, they're flying at the moment in terms of results and performances, but they just want to keep that rolling, and playing a lower league opposition gives you a better opportunity on paper to be able to do that.
Yeah, definitely. I've looked back at some of the FA Cup campaigns for Burnley. It has been a very mixed bag. The best sort of thing was in 2003, a quarterfinals. Town's FA Cup is terrible as well. They're running. They haven't reached the fourth round for a very long time, and to reach the fifth round, last time that happened was 2007. So it's going to be interesting. Next question is going to be a stupid question, really, but I've got to ask it. I always ask it in this series. What is the current mood of fans and Vincent Kompany? Because it's great because it's top of the league, playing great football, but it's a very different Burnley side to what everyone's used to. Sort of take it away, my friend.
Yeah, the mood couldn't be better, to be honest. It's just been sort of this dreamland, if you like, since Vincent Kompany got announced, really, because, I mean, it's still sort of tricky to get your head around the fact that Vincent Kompany, given who he is, given his stature in the game as manager of Burnley, it's still a bit of a strange one. But there were questions when he came in. There was questions about his own managerial credentials, because I think the job he'd done at Anderlecht hadn't been incredible, but I think it was quite underrated for the situation he'd gone into, and where he'd put the club in, the position he put the club in. By the time he left, and then you sort of look at them at the moment, and they're really struggling. So it's sort of a testament to maybe he did a much better job than people necessarily thought. But there were a lot of questions around when he came in terms of the squad. Obviously relegation was hanging over the heads. There was debts that the owners had sort of used or taken out a loan in the purchase of the club, which was question marks around that. But since he's come in, it's it's got better and better and better. They've recruited really well, and basically he's shown himself to be a really, really impressive manager. He's tactically really detailed, and he's shown an ability to develop players, because a lot of the players he brought in was the obvious loans where you think that like Taylor Howard-Bellis, for example, you think that's going to work, but he took gambles, I guess, on young Belgian, players from the Belgian league like Anas Sarori, Manuel Benson, who, were no guarantee to fit into the championship, and he's got them, he's developed them so well to where they're, some of the best players in the division, and it was from that first game against Huddersfield when I think everyone sort of just took that. It was quite tense going into that, but then everyone just took that massive. As soon as you saw Burnley playing, it was like, no, this is going to be really good. Because they played Huddersfield off the park, and I know Huddersfield have not had a good season, but you could just see from what Burnley were doing and how they were playing, that this was something really, really good, and was going to just keep getting better and better and better. And yeah, and that's come from the pre-season. And Kompany is incredibly detailed. He challenged his players during pre-season to basically gave them as much information as he possibly could about the way he wanted to play, and it was their responsibility to sort of take on the mantle and take it all in. And he did that, and you saw that from game one, and it's just been about fine tuning and tweaking, and since then, and as they kept winning and kept building that gap at the top of the championship and kept getting closer to this Premier League promotion, which as you say looked pretty certain at the moment with an 18-point gap over third place. Even if they don't win the league, it looks like they're going to go up in second. So it's just it couldn't be better, to be honest, and it's all come from Kompany and sort of his attitude and what he's brought to the club and his sort of culture that he's embedded into everything.
Yeah, definitely. I watched that Huddersfield game and just thought, wow, this is a different Burnley team to what we're used to. And 55 league goals, as you said, 18 points clear in the top two, 18 wins, 8 draws, 2 defeats. Haven't lost since in the league, since that, of course, defeat against Sheffield United back in November. But yeah, all rosy at Burnley. And let's talk then about the players in Andy. We've spoken a lot about Vincent Kompany, but of course, he's got a very good squad. As well. Let's take a look at the last 11 against West Brom. Of course, a late Scott Twine goal to win that game. And we'll get onto him in a bit because I know Town fans, they would love Scott Twine to be a Town player, but it didn't happen. We've got our players now. But this is the last 11. And that'll be the question on a lot of people's lips. Will Vincent Kompany change many of these? It's the FA Cup game. It's the 4th round of the FA Cup playing against a League One team. Take it away, my friend.
Yeah, there's a lot of question marks and potential selection. Well, he's going to have a lot of selection dilemmas, to be honest, because he's got a lot of players fit. First things first, and Burnley, what they made sure to do is they built a squad in the summer and have added to it in January with two further centre halves and 2 strikers, with Michael Obafemi expected to be the second after Lyle Foster came in earlier in the week. Unsure if Obafemi will be available for this. But he's built a massive squad, basically. So he's got so many different options. So you look at the team, on the screen, and Jack Cork will probably be sort of one who definitely comes back in. He's serving a suspension in the league at the moment, so missed the West Brom game and will miss Norwich. So you would expect him to play. But then you've got so many different options. You mentioned Scott Twine. You've got Manuel Benson is a doubt for the game, and I think Johan Berg Goodmanson is as well. They missed the West Brom game. Johan Berg Goodmanson missed the West Brom game through injury. Manuel Benson went off with an injury. So they're 2 fitness question marks over them. But you've got Jay Rodriguez, you've got Lyle Foster to come in, and Darko Cherlanov. You would expect within that sort of attacking ranks. So it could be any of those 3, along with the ones on the screen of Nathan Tella, Ashley Barnes, and Asarori. You would expect the back 5, the way it looks, to probably look very similar to what it's going to be. Probably, potentially, might look to use one of his new centre halves. I mean, Alderkill or Jalmar Ekdal, who've both come in the last couple of weeks. He might look to play one of them alongside Jordan Bayer. But then in the midfield, you've got Josh Cullen, who has been central to everything, really. He was with Kompany at Anderlecht for 2 years before making the move to Burnley. It was the most no-brainer signing, really, because of, he knew the system inside out, and he's come in and basically been the quarterback, if you like, and basically showed everyone what to do, or it certainly helped, pass on all the messages. And Josh Brown is having a really good season as well. So there's loads of different options that he could pick, but you would expect, given the schedule at the moment, and it's not hugely demanding, Kompany will want to win this game and will want to go as strong as possible. So, it's not like he's going to throw a couple of young players in. They may feature on the bench, but most of them are going to be the first team, the first 11 that he wants to pick.
Yeah, indeed. I'm looking at some of the goals scored. I think there's 4 players on 9 goals this season, which is just, it's rare to see, but it's good that everyone's sharing the goals about. You've mentioned a few players there, but there's Scott Twine. Let's talk about him in depth. Town fans, as I said, would love to have him at Town, but he's gone up to the Championship. He hasn't played many games, I think 5 in total. Did score, of course, that fantastic free kick, came off the bench. What's sort of gone on there? Some insight on that.
Yeah, so he's been really unfortunate, to be honest. He was the first signing of Burnley's new era, if you like, and there was loads of excitement. I remember watching sort of when I was writing the pieces about him and doing a bit of analysis and stuff, and just watching him and going, yeah, this is a lad I really want to watch next season. And he's just been really unfortunate with injuries. Basically, he's picked up a couple of little knocks in pre-season and featured came off the bench first day in the first game against Huddersfield, but then that was it. We didn't see him after that until after the World Cup break, and basically there was a hip injury in there, and basically he just couldn't get over a load of little sort of niggles that he kept having, and it just kept setting him back every now and again. And, it just built that sort of suspense because fans were so desperate to see him, and then the conspiracy theories start about where he is, does he even exist, and all this type of stuff. But Burnley throughout and people close to him maintain that it was just injuries, and he was working really, really hard to get back, and he was staying positive, and as soon as he was available and ready, he was going to try his best to make his mark on the team, and he came back. He used the World Cup break really, really well. He did some extra training when players were on holiday, trained with the under-21s, just did some individual work with coaches to make sure he was ready, and was back in and was in the squad for the first time for that first game back after the World Cup against QPR, and came on and got a massive ovation. One you don't really expect for sort of an 88th minute substitute, but he did, which was really, really nice because I think. He has gone through a lot because it's one of them for individually and probably selfishly. He's watching Burnley play superb football, desperate to be a part of it, but also watching a load of players in his position, playing really well and thinking, how am I going to get into this team? But yeah, he had that, as you mentioned, he had that moment against West Brom, which was, hopefully a massive moment and a big turning point because he'd still featured off the bench, but not regularly, and was still sort of. It was when was he ever? He was trying to find his first start, which was probably you would think would have come will come against Ipswich, because it seems the best opportunity that's sort of come in recent weeks. And yeah, it was a great moment. You could see from the players' reactions and when he scores, the celebrations, but also after the game, a full time and in the dressing room singing a song and stuff like that. So everyone was just made up for him, and hopefully that is the start of his Burnley career, even though it started technically 6 months ago. The hope is that free kick, which everyone in England knows how good he is from dead ball situations, and as soon as he put that down, I was like, this is going in. I think I tweeted it's got Twine time as soon as the free kick was awarded. So, I was well happy with myself with that one. But yeah, so he's you can see in the very, very brief moments we've seen of him that quality and that confidence. Just you could see that as soon as he put that in the back of the net, and hopefully starting with Ipswich, maybe not for Ipswich fans, but hopefully for Burnley fans, this will be the start of him really, stamping his authority on the team and sort of making himself part of that first 11, because he's got that springboard now to go on.
Yeah, definitely. Don't Scott. This Saturday, don't do that. If they get a free kick, we're all fearing for our lives if Scott Twine's on that. And because he's done it before. For both these clubs, he's been in League One, Swindon and MK Dons. He's been the sort of standout player and scored against us. So hopefully not the case this Saturday. And that sort of segues nicely, Andy, in terms of the game itself. Kieran McKenna is a young upcoming coach, just like Vincent Kompany. Different profile, of course, but both play very good football. That could sort of cancel each other out, or it could be a very good free-flowing game, lots of goals and all that sort of stuff. What sort of game do you reckon will happen on this weekend?
Well, I certainly hope it's the second, just for pure entertainment. Yes. But yeah, as you say, it's two good footballing sides, and I've really not that I've watched much of Ipswich, but from afar, just seeing Kieran McKenna go in for Manchester United and just keeping an eye on how things are going for him, because it was interesting when you see those types of coaches get a managerial job and see how they get on. And he's clearly made a big difference there, and you can see that in terms of results and the league position and the style of play. And given that Ipswich and Burnley are two of the highest scoring teams in the Football League, you would hope that there'll be plenty of goals or at least plenty of chances. And I'm sure both sides will, because I think one thing Burnley have done when they play Premier League opposition this season is they've not changed. They've just played their way. Obviously, didn't quite work at Manchester United. Obviously, they lose, but there were good signs in there, and they caused United some problems at times during the game, and then they go to Bournemouth and do it and win. And I wouldn't expect Ipswich to change either. That if that's the way you want to play, that's the way you've got to always play. That's sort of what Kompany said when he spoke about these types of games where you're stepping up in quality of opposition. And at home it's the FA Cup, who knows? So why not go for it? There's no point sort of sitting in and sort of just hoping to nick a goal, especially when you've clearly got the quality on the pitch to create and score goals. So I'm expecting it to be quite an attacking, free-flowing game with both sides looking to play. I imagine Burnley will probably dominate just because of the step up in quality that they have in the squad, and that they'll cause Ipswich plenty of problems. But I'm sure Ipswich themselves will not make it easy for Burnley, and themselves be looking to play and attack as they have done all season.
Yeah, definitely. It's gonna be, I think so far as of this recording, 23,000 tickets have been sold, so it's gonna be a good atmosphere. I think maybe a few years back, if it was Mick McCarthy, Sean Dyche's side, I think not many Town fans and Burnley fans will be coming out for this one, but because it's two very good footballing sides, I think people are just up for it. And it's going to be a very entertaining game. Just the big thing is we don't want to replay. So Burnley, Ipswich Town players, if you're watching this, don't draw. Just don't do it. Because no one wants to go to Turf Moor on Tuesday night, and just same if we were at Turf Moor on Saturday, and Burnley fans having to kind of pour on Tuesday night would be the same. So Andy, I won't ask you a prediction, but just you put it out there. You think Burnley are going to dominate and possibly maybe edge it in terms of getting progression, but as you said, it's not really the end of the world if Burnley got knocked out either, because you're going to be playing in a Premier League football probably next season.
Yeah, it's not the end of the world. I think they would obviously like to, and I think it'll be a chance for Kompany to see a couple more, bits and pieces from players. So the likes of Scott Twine, I'm sure he'll want to give minutes to, and that will be a key part of the plan for this game. But equally, no question about it, especially with the way sort of the FA Cup's going in terms of the teams that are playing each other and sort of knocking each other out. It feels like it might be a bit more of an opportunity for, a bit like in the Carabao Cup at the moment, where you've got a couple of teams. Okay, they're all Premier League teams, but you wouldn't usually expect to see in semi-finals, and Burnley will probably be looking at that and sort of thinking maybe if we can just keep rolling and keep going, that we might keep getting some favourable draws, if you like, or even taking some of the Premier League sides on like they've already done, and try and target the competition. So I expect that Burnley to dominate the game, but I certainly don't think it'll be easy. But I just think with the quality that Burnley have got and the confidence that they're playing with, and what has been really noticeable about Burnley in this sort of, especially the last sort of couple of months, no matter what, they find a way to win. So regardless of what the opposition do, it could be 2-0 up at half time, they could be winning like West Brom, they could be winning with 15 to go, 1-0. Burnley have consistently found ways to win football matches in various different ways, whether that's comebacks, whether it's just battering teams basically, or last minute winners, Scott Twine free kicks. They've just consistently found ways to win, and that's why I think that as well as having that quality gap, the way they're playing at the moment and the way the mentality is, you would expect them to do enough to overcome Ipswich. But certainly won't be easy at all.
No, indeed. I think it's going to be an entertaining game, and best man wins pretty much. But Andy, it's been a pleasure, my friend. Thanks so much for joining me. But any other business, any other notes you want to mention? Anything else that Town fans should know about?
Burnley-wise, the player to watch for me would be Anas Sarori, assuming he plays. He's just, he's a player who was at the World Cup with Morocco, very late sort of switch of allegiance, if you like, because he was a Belgian youth international, and sort of has experienced that. And even before sort of having that experience, he was beginning to become one of, if not, one of the best players in the Championship. And it's just such a joy to watch. I imagine for opposition fans, he's horrendous to watch because his feet are really, really good. The way he manipulates the ball and manipulates opponents, and he's got all the sort of the tricks and an ability to shoot from long distance, but also have that sort of striker instinct, if you like, of always being in and around the box to get on the end of things. And so that's the player. Assuming he plays, he's probably the one I would say to watch because he's got the potential to be like top level, I think, and I think that's what Burnley think as well. They've been surprised, I think, by how quickly he's developed so far, but he's got that sort of that ability that you can just sort of tell. And if he keeps going on the trajectory he's going, he's going to be a really good Premier League player at least. So he's probably the one for Ipswich defenders, and he's the one to watch out for, I'd say. Probably the one to maybe fear the most.
Indeed, yeah, I've earmarked him already as one to watch as well because he's when I've watched Burnley games, he's been the one. And you've got some other great players, of course, but you can't name them all in one video. So just look out for all of them. It's going to be an entertaining game, I'm sure. But Andy, thanks for joining me. Thanks everyone for watching and have a meet the oppo. If you go into the game, enjoy it. If you're not, follow the game with us and bring it on. Who's going to progress to the 5th round of the FA Cup? We shall wait and see. Bye for now.